All right, hi, I'm meteorologist Alexandra Cranford at WWL Louisiana, and we are tracking Hurricane Beryl. This is at midday on Wednesday. This is the 10 a.m. update that we're going into detail with. It is still holding strong to the same wind speeds that we've been seeing with this system all morning long. So yesterday, of course, it was a monster Cat 5. Now it is a strong Category 4, and it has not weakened all morning since 4 a.m. with these 145 mile per hour winds and some gusts near 175 miles per hour. It is moving quickly to the west-northwest. It slowed down just a touch as of 10 a.m. and its pressure has risen a little bit compared to yesterday, but this is still a strong storm. Now you can see by the presentation we're starting to see it maybe not quite so neat, a little bit of separation with some of these bands here. That's pretty typical during the day for it to start to reorganize a little bit and then really come together at night. Usually that is when it is most potent and very early in the morning. But we are seeing it now really close to Jamaica, and this will be a big thing for Jamaica moving into this afternoon. Let me show you our forecast model. This is, well, from the National Hurricane Center's forecast path. It will probably still be a Category 4, although a little bit weaker one by this evening after it has brushed probably just south or maybe even making landfall on Jamaica for today, this afternoon. And there are parts of the eastern portions of Jamaica that are expecting maybe up to a foot of rain with this system. Not the entire island, but it will be possible to see that, as well as, of course, these really high winds. Now, by 7 p.m., you saw it should be on the western side of the island, and then it should be approaching the Cayman Islands and then on toward Yucatan, getting into the next day or so. So it could be Thursday night or Friday that it shows up around Yucatan, and that should, along with some other things like shear and dry air, weaken it at least some. But I will say Beryl has been stronger pretty much the entire time that it's been around than the models were predicting. So we will see. It will probably continue either around these kind of numbers for intensity or maybe even stronger, depending on whether the factors do actually weaken it. But the land interaction with Yucatan should weaken the system. So it may drop to a tropical storm, might even, though, in the western Gulf become a Category 1 again. We've been saying that for a while now. And then it should move into northern Mexico or southern Texas without a lot of impacts for much of the northern Gulf Coast, it looks like. Checking out those tropical models, this is for the next 7 days. And there's a little bit of a spread now. So this is kind of interesting to see, even as it's churning and so strong across the Caribbean. The models have gotten a little bit looser here toward the end of the time frame. So northern Mexico, maybe extreme southern Texas, we will see. But the big thing is a big high, which I'll show you in a second. Also, I wanted to point out that we do have some new hurricane warnings and watches, of course, for Jamaica, for Cayman Islands, and for Yucatan. And also now you can see a tropical storm watch even for the other side of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. Here's the wind shear forecast. There will be some shear. We will see how much, again, it is able to weaken with that before it reaches that coast of Yucatan and then continues on across the southwest corner of the Gulf. Now, here's the big player, and you can see this ridge extends really just about to where it is right now in the Caribbean Sea. So it's going to ride along the southern parts, and you can see it here, of this ridge of high pressure. And toward this weekend, we may see the ridge weakening a little bit and becoming a bit less strong, sort of in between two centers of high pressure. We might see that spreading out, and one of the centers off to the east a little bit should still be enough. You can see it extending all the way here to bring it out to the northwest in, I think, generally the same spot that we've been thinking, northern Mexico or extreme southern Texas. So we'll see, but this is how it looks right now. If it takes this path, that means for New Orleans, for coastal Mississippi, there would be minimal impacts. It looks like no direct impacts. And we don't have any right now for New Orleans in the 7-day forecast. However, the Houston area will want to watch this for associated rain perhaps this weekend and early next week. And of course, northern Mexico and southern Texas, that would be a wind plus surge and then plus rain concern. And that would be late this weekend or early on Monday. So let's track it here. This is the European forecast. This is just one model, so this is not set in stone by any means, but just to give you an idea, Friday, 11 a.m. around lunchtime, here it is, possibly making landfall around Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, following the bottom of that ridge of high pressure off to the west and northwest. And this one does have it one of the more southerly solutions into northern Mexico, with maybe not so much of a movement northwest. However, you saw some of those models do have it wanting to curve up just a little bit more, somewhere around maybe Brownsville, Texas, and possibly bringing some impacts there as well for late this weekend and early next week. As for the rainfall forecast, this is tentative. This will almost certainly change depending on what happens with Beryl. But you can see where that bullseye for the rain is looking right now. This is in the next 7 days, maybe 3 to 5 inches or so around southern Texas, North Mexico. But again, be prepared for some of these numbers to change as we get a better idea. Now, for New Orleans and the coastal Mississippi and the rest of the Gulf Coast with that big high, obviously the rain will be less that we're expecting, but still maybe 1 to 2 inches or so. Non-Beryl related. That could be just from afternoon storms. And then at the middle of next week, we may see a trough of low pressure drop in that could enhance our rain chances maybe by Tuesday to maybe 40 or 50% chance for rain. And that's actually our rain chance today as well for the New Orleans area. So tracking Beryl for sure. You can see behind it that system that we've been talking about is not looking like it will really get a chance to develop very much. It hasn't really organized. It's stayed messy, but it is going to bring some rain to some of these Caribbean islands that have already seen Beryl. And then we will see in the rest of the Caribbean Sea, but doesn't look like the conditions will be favorable for this to form up and become a named storm. Low chance of developing, but the next name on the list is Debbie. So that's a quick look at your 10 a.m. Beryl forecast as of Wednesday, 10 a.m. advisory. We'll have many more updates coming up for you from WWL Louisiana.